Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news. Flames ripped through an apartment complex in Raleigh, leaving people without a place to live. We'll show you the scene where firefighters were all night long.
And our temperatures are warm now, but it is not going to be scary this evening for trick-or-treat time. I'll show you the temperatures.
Part of a road in Raleigh will be closed for days after a water main in that area broke. We'll tell you how long crews think the repairs will take.
And the Los Angeles Dodgers solidify their status as baseball's best. The celebrations for the team's World Series victory. Oh, a wild finale, a come-from-behind win for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They certainly persevered. Good morning, everyone. It is 4:30, and we want to say Happy Halloween. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, great to have you along here this morning. It almost looked like the Yankees were going to force another game out of this series, but
Got it in 5.
Ended that deal right there. Elizabeth Gardner over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with that live look at Franklinton. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning. I just loved this. They've got it all lit up in orange here, I'm assuming, for Halloween. If they don't, it certainly looks like it, doesn't it? Neat shot out there this morning. 62 degrees currently. Our dew point is 58. You may have noticed yesterday it feels a little bit more muggy than it did yesterday, or than it has so far this week. Our temperatures are warm, but we also started warm yesterday. 62 in Durham, 60 in Southern Pines, 59 Goldsboro, 57 in Rocky Mount. Visibility is something that we'll watch. As I was driving in this morning, there was just a little bit of fog in some low-lying areas. Rocky Mount's down to a mile, but quarter mile would be fog. So we'll keep our eye on that. As the kids are headed out this morning, temperatures are in the upper 50s. And then as we get into the afternoon, temperatures are going to be in the 80s. Once we get toward trick-or-treat time, we're looking at 70s. And so we'll walk through it hour by hour for you coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Breaking news. Firefighters were at the scene of a serious apartment fire in Raleigh for over 4 hours this morning. Look at these flames. WRAL's Nick Perlin joins us live from the Walden Woods condominiums. And Nick, fire officials say no one was injured, but several units do have damage.
Hey, Renee, that is the good news. Firefighters did tell us that everybody got out okay, but we're told 6 apartment complexes are damaged, and you can probably see a little bit of the damage here left over from that fire that happened late Wednesday night. Let's get you some video from the WRAL breaking news tracker. You can see here flames ripping through the roof of this apartment complex. Now, fire officials did describe this as a very significant fire. We are, again, confirming that thankfully everybody got out okay, but 6 units have been damaged, and we're still working to find out just how many people were displaced in this fire. They're still working to get more resources to those people. Of course, we're going to continue to follow everything that happens with this. The cause of the fire is still under investigation, so we're still trying to learn that at this point. Reporting live in Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Part of Crabtree Boulevard will be closed through the weekend as crews work to repair a water main break there. This is right between Capitol Boulevard and Raleigh Boulevard, and WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from that scene this morning. Kelsey, officials say this happened in part because of how old those pipes are.
Yes, Jeff, and this morning crews are already up early working to make some final repairs here. They're scheduled to repave the road starting today. So if Crabtree Boulevard is a part of your morning drive, this road work could impact your morning commute. So take a look at this video from when crews first started working on repairs. This break happened early yesterday morning. Now, officials with Raleigh Water say this infrastructure is old. It was built back in the 1960s, and that makes the break even more difficult to repair.
The problem is our valves aren't closing all the way, so you can see some of the water coming out. We got it closed down pretty well, but there's still some leaking out.
And the good news here is that all of the businesses in this area do have water, and the city says that you still should be able to access them all through Crabtree Boulevard as crews are still working today. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The presidential campaigns have more stops scheduled in North Carolina in the final days before Election Day. Senator J.D. Vance will be in Selma tomorrow, and former President Donald Trump will have rallies in Gastonia, near Charlotte, and in Greensboro on Saturday. That same day, Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Charlotte, and Harris's running mate Tim Walz was in North Carolina yesterday. He talked with voters in Charlotte, Greensboro, and Asheville.
New this morning, our latest WRAL News poll shows the economy is still the #1 issue driving voters in this election. But Republicans and Democrats differ on what their other top issues are. For Republicans, immigration ranks #2, just behind the economy, while Democrats say their top concern is access to health care. Both presidential candidates spoke to their party's priorities at their rallies yesterday, and former President Donald Trump said in Rocky Mount, the U.S. has been, quote, occupied by immigrants.
November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. It'll be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will rescue every city and town that's been invaded and conquered.
You will pay even more if Donald Trump finally gets his way and ends the Affordable Care Act, which will throw, if he were to win, which would throw millions of Americans off their health insurance and take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You remember what that was like? Well, we are not going back.
Vice President Kamala Harris told supporters in Raleigh yesterday her opponent would end Obamacare with no plan to replace it. Our poll found Harris and Trump tied at 47% support for each. And coming up later today, we will bring you the latest poll numbers in the race for state attorney general and go more in depth on what North Carolinians say they care most about in this election.
Raleigh police will have extra patrols around Peach Road Park in the southern part of the city today after a man is accused of sexually assaulting a girl under the age of 18. Police say it happened just before 10 yesterday morning. They later arrested the suspect. One woman who takes her kids to the park tells us she saw the man there over the weekend.
I saw him on Saturday, sleeping on the park bench. I kicked him off the bench Saturday because there was a bunch of kids running around, and I've never seen him over here before. That was the first time I ever seen him.
She tells us she will not let her kids play alone in the park anytime soon. The girl who was assaulted was taken to the hospital for treatment.
Los Angeles Dodgers are World Series champs once again. They came back from a 5-0 deficit last night in Game 5 and beat the New York Yankees 7-6 was the final to close out the Fall Classic. It is the 8th World Series win in Dodgers history, their second in 5 years. Freddie Freeman hit 4 home runs during the series. He was named MVP.
And look at this. Dodgers fans poured into the streets of L.A. to celebrate the team's championship. Fans didn't get to celebrate much after their pandemic season win in 2020. This time, they will get a parade. And on Friday, the team will ride on a double-decker bus through L.A., followed by a celebration with fans inside Dodger Stadium. Coming up in 5 minutes, we'll show you how people in Shohei Ohtani's hometown in Japan are celebrating the win.
Quarter Pounder may be back on McDonald's menus across the nation, but people are still getting sick. How many more E. coli cases have been linked to the fast food chain?
Plus, the spirit of Christmas is bringing hope to Western North Carolina.
We feel that opening Biltmore on this Saturday is a key part of that journey of recovery and resiliency.
We'll show you the final touches being made at the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, ahead of it reopening to visitors this weekend.
And here's a live look right now in Fayetteville this morning. It's going to be a warm Halloween day for our trick-or-treaters out there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us when our next cool down is coming.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:42, and we're taking a live look out across our viewing area this morning. We'll likely have some low cloud cover like we saw yesterday, a little bit of patchy fog developing to potentially Durham 62, Raleigh 62, and 58 in Fayetteville. So it is another warm start. And we do have mild temperatures in our forecast through the end of the week for the next couple of days. 59 in Lewisburg, 55 Tarboro, 55 in Irwin, 58 in Fayetteville, 60 right now in Southern Pines. So pretty comfortable as you're heading out. If you're going to be voting today, temperatures will be in the 50s up until until around 8 a.m. And then we're going to climb into the low 80s. It's going to be a really warm one if you're voting this evening. Of course, temperatures will be dropping down into the 70s. We may see some cloud cover this morning, but expect partly cloudy skies this afternoon.
Your time is 4:43 here in the WRAL Live Center. Good morning. I'm Chris Lovingood. And you know, the hype on the LA Dodgers win over the Yankees for the World Series isn't just being felt here in the United States, but also in Japan. This is a video of a bar in Tokyo where so many people are excited, clearly wearing Dodgers jerseys there, even some that have Shohei Ohtani's jersey on them. In fact, it turns out that the first two games of the 7-game series between the Dodgers and the Yankees averaged 15.15 million viewers in Japan. And at some point, there are more viewers in Japan that were watching, according to the MLB. And we've seen reports from LA's economic leaders that hundreds of thousands of people traveled from Japan just to see the Dodgers play.
Chris, thanks. Today, Governor Roy Cooper will spend time in the North Carolina mountains. He and country music star Eric Church will visit Banner Elk to look at storm damage from Helene and speak with those hurt most by the storm. Church calls the mountains home. He's originally from Granite Falls, North Carolina. The governor will also visit Grandfather Mountain as that reopens for tourism. Tune in to WRAL this evening as WRAL's Brett Neese will be in Banner Elk for the governor and Eric Church's visit.
And there are more E. coli cases linked to people who ate at McDonald's. The FDA says there are 90 people in 13 states who have gotten sick. That number was 75 at the end of last week. Raw slivered onions on the quarter pounder are being blamed for the outbreak. The restaurant chain says the onions came from a California supplier, Taylor Farms. The FDA is investigating the processing center in Colorado Springs, where most of the cases have been reported. There are still no cases that have been reported in North Carolina.
A hearing date to consider resentencing for Eric and Lyle Menendez has been set for December 11th. That's according to a court official and a spokesperson for the brothers' lawyer. Prior to the resentencing hearing, the judge will hold a November 25th status hearing on the request. The brothers were sentenced to life in prison without parole in 1996 for murdering their parents. The LA district attorney has recommended the sentence be reduced to life in prison with possibility of parole.
A Wyoming polling firm is suing Mark Robinson's campaign. Vox Insights says friends of Mark Robinson agreed in September to pay for polling services to inform the campaign strategy. The lawsuit claims the campaign had 30 days to pay a nearly $115,000 invoice for services and missed that deadline. Robinson campaign called the lawsuit a baseless effort to extort money from the campaign. You can read this story at WRAL.com.
The Chatham Community Library will host a blood drive with the American Red Cross today. You can head to the Chatham Community Library in Pittsboro from 10 until 3 today.
A dog that was found floating in a shopping cart in Arizona now has a happy home. Rescuers got this 10-year-old Chihuahua mix, Dorothea, out of the water of a Phoenix canal back in June. Veterinarians nursed her back to health, and she bounced back quickly. The Arizona Humane Society says Dorothea is now living with a family in suburban Phoenix.
The Biltmore plans to welcome guests this weekend, and a major part of the celebration will be on hand. The 28-foot Fraser fir Christmas tree arrived at the mansion yesterday. The annual tree raising is extra special this year. It symbolizes the Christmas spirit that lives on. The Biltmore will be open to the public this Saturday after being closed a month after Helene. This is only the third time in its history it's closed.
Biltmore has for generations, 5 generations now, been a beacon of hope. And this community stands for resiliency. It's moments like this where we come together and we find a way to come back stronger.
It is a big tourism draw. This tree is one of 2 that will go in the banquet room, and in a month, they will be swapping it out and bringing in a new one.
It is certainly a sign of the season. Wonderful time of year to go to Biltmore. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now. Before we head to the mountains and get our trees, we have to do our Halloween thing, don't we?
We do, and then we still got to do a Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah, right?
We still have a little while, but you know, it comes quick. I mean, I feel like once we get past Halloween, it's Christmas everywhere. Doesn't it seem like that? Zebulon looking pretty this morning. This is a live look at their historic town hall. Temperatures are mild this morning. Will be upper 50s to low 60s and then into the 70s by lunchtime. 62 right now in the Triangle area. We're watching for fog this morning. Rocky Mount's down to a mile visibility. What we're looking for is quarter-mile visibility, and we're seeing that down in Irwin right now. Sanford's at half-mile visibility, so we'll be watching it. When I drove in this morning, I saw, something that looked like a little hint of fog. We may also end up with some low cloud cover this morning as well. Futurecast fog isn't showing much developing, but it looks like whatever develops maybe down to the south of the Triangle area. We do have some moisture in the atmosphere thanks to this high. This high is rotating offshore and pushing warm air in from the south, and of course grabbing along some of that moisture from off the ocean as well. So warm, and we can't call it muggy. It just feels a tad more humid though. 81 for our high today in Raleigh, 79 in Durham, 82 in Fayetteville. So a warm day. We've only seen 80s on Halloween 9 times since 1944 at RDU. So it is a bit of a rare thing. I don't know if I want to call it a treat, but honestly, for trick-or-treating, it looks great. We're looking at 5 o'clock temperature at 76, 6 o'clock 75, 7 o'clock 71. It was a really lovely evening last night. It's going to feel a whole lot like that. Not too far from a record high, 81, 85 is the record, and then on Friday, 82 with a record of 88. So we're, close to, but not quite at records. We're also seeing beautiful color around our area right now. Dom Regal sent us this from Falls Lake, and see that color in the trees there across the lake. We love your Weather Watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and send us what you have been seeing in your backyard. We go back to standard time over the weekend. So sunset now is at around 6:20. Sunset on Sunday will be around 5:19. That's a big change, of course, in terms of everybody's schedule, but we do get an extra hour of sleep, and that may help the runners at City of Oaks Marathon. Run time temperatures at the beginning of the race will be in the 50s and then climbing into the mid to upper 60s. We will see some cooler temperatures over the weekend. 70 Saturday, 71 on Sunday. We'll take a look at a front and talk about how much rain we will or won't see with that.
Elizabeth, thanks. Millions of people are celebrating Diwali, the Festival of Lights, this week. We'll show you a celebration in India that broke a Guinness World Record with their light display.
Plus, runners from all over the world will visit the Big Apple this weekend for the New York Marathon, and we'll show you the preps that are underway for that.
Last month, more than 1 in 5 Americans worked from home at least part of the time. That's according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. When it comes to telework, the Triangle is a popular place to do it. New research shows Raleigh is ranked the 2nd in the country for the most popular place to work from home, and Durham came in at number 9. WRAL's Monica Casey explains the impact of remote work locally.
More people working from home means fewer people working in office buildings, and that has a major impact.
Nearly a quarter of workers in Raleigh are remote, 2nd in the country. Almost 20% are remote in Durham, tied for 9th nationwide.
This is heavily impacting the office market in terms of property valuations because rents are falling.
Jim Anthony has been in the commercial real estate business for decades.
I would say that we are going to see a permanent downsizing of most large companies in terms of their office footprint. So 25% shrinkage is kind of the minimum. And 50% is not uncommon.
While some office buildings sit empty, co-working spaces like Durham's American Underground offer flexibility.
I'm usually here around 2 or 3 days a week.
Eric Johnson is the co-founder of Purpose UX, doing a combination of remote and in-person work with his employees.
People are more relaxed. They do better work when they don't feel the pressure to have to get on the road and, drive on Route 40 every morning.
Johnson tells me that balance is important, especially with a family.
The flexibility is super important. As somebody with kids, it's just a lot easier to be able to be there when I need to be there at home.
In Durham, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
Diwali celebrations will get underway across the world today. An early celebration in northern India broke a world record. People lit a record-breaking 2.5 million oil lamps to mark the holiday. Now, they achieved the Guinness World Record. Oil lamps shined along riverbanks and the roofs of homes. It took thousands of volunteers to make this possible, transforming the area into a city of lights.
Preparations are well underway for the New York City Marathon. New York City Roadrunners Club held a ceremonial painting of the red and blue lines. The lines in Manhattan's Central Park there mark the marathon's end point on a little bit of an uphill. Tough way to finish. The marathon course begins on Staten Island and runs through the city's 5 boroughs. Marathon weekend officially begins Friday with the opening ceremonies. The marathon kicks off Sunday, 8 a.m. Still on my bucket list, Renee.
One day, Jeff.
Yep.
I know you'll do it.
Yep.
Traffic troubles are expected to continue for several days on Crabtree Boulevard. We'll help you get around the crews as they work on water main repairs this morning.
And an apartment fire damaged several units, leaving many without a place to live. What we are learning about the fire response.
And one of the biggest nights of the year for Chapel Hill's Franklin Street. The safety and traffic information you need for tonight's Halloween celebration. That's all ahead in our 5 o'clock hour. Don't go away.